Architecture has a reputation. It's precise, technical, a little intense. We talk about architectural integrity, pure form, functionality, and the problem with beige stucco on the north facade. But sometimes a building shows up that looks like a giant donut, or a giant shoe, or an office shaped like, well, a basket. And it makes us ask, why is almost all architecture so serious? And what happens when it's not? Today, we're exploring humor in architecture. What makes a building funny? Why it matters? And how we could create cities that smile back at us. Humor in architecture isn't always a punchline. A building doesn't need googly eyes to be funny. Humor can be subtle or very loud. There are a few ways architects use humor. There is visual humor, where building looks funny or unexpected, like buildings that shape like other objects, like a basket. There's conceptual humor, well, my favorite kind. It's the idea behind the building that is funny, like it has an irony or references to something that makes us smile. The next one is contextual humor. The building jokes with its surroundings. Like it has a playful contrast with neighbors. And then there's narrative humor. The building tells a story. It has a whimsical detailing or forms. Humor in architecture is really about surprise, something that breaks the pattern. When a city is full of rectangles, the one building that curves, wiggles, or laughs a little stands out like a friend who doesn't take themselves too seriously. Let's start with one of the funniest moments in architectural history, the duck. In 1931, on Long Island, someone built a poultry shop shaped like a giant duck. Because they sold ducks. Simple branding, straight to the point. Architects Robert Ventori and Dennis Scott Brown saw this and said, "This is important." They coined the term duck architecture, meaning the building is the sign. It doesn't symbolize something, it literally is that thing. A donut shop shaped like a donut. A hot dog stand shaped like a hot dog. Corporate branding taken so literally it becomes performance art. It's funny, but also weirdly honest. By the 1970s, architecture was drowning in seriousness. Modernism gave us clean lines, rational forms, and lots of glass, but not a lot of personality. So, postmodernism said, what if architecture winked? Pomo buildings borrow classical forms, exaggerate them, play with them. Columns that are too big, colors that are too bright. Design choices that whisper, "I know the rules, I'm just choosing to mess with them." Humor here wasn't about silliness. It was about commentary, poking fun at the cultural seriousness of architecture itself. Some architects use humor not as critique, but as delight. Antoni Gaudi made buildings that looked like they grew out of a dream. Friedrich Hundertwasser refused straight lines and believed buildings should feel alive. Thomas Heatherwick plays with texture, softness, and form to make buildings feel curious and warm. These architects aren't telling jokes, they're inviting us to play. Humor can make a building approachable. It tells people, yes, you're allowed to enjoy this. And honestly, that's kind of radical. Most of our built environment is practical, efficient, repetitive. Because repetition saves money. But it also makes cities feel like they were designed by spreadsheets. Humor breaks that uniformity. It creates landmarks where there were none. It sparks conversations. It creates emotional connection. And we remember places that make us feel something. A funny building isn't less serious. It's more human. Humor doesn't have to mean novelty architecture. It could be a bench shaped like a wave, a window arranged slightly wrong on purpose, playful shadows, soft curves in a rigid city block, color, texture, pattern. The key is intentionality. Humor should feel thoughtful, not random. Humor in architecture is less about making people laugh and more about making them smile. Cities reflect how we choose to live. So maybe the question isn't why are funny buildings weird? Maybe it's why did we stop allowing them? Architecture doesn't need to be serious to be meaningful. It just needs to be human. And humans, we're funny. Thanks for watching. Tell me the funniest building you've ever seen, if you've ever seen one. Subscribe for more architectural philosophy, and until next time.